Hey Axis and Allies players, the good captain here. Welcome to another video. In this game I'm playing against a human opponent of 1914 out of box, no bid. This is round 13, a recap, and then we'll go into round 14 with Austria, Hungary, and Germany. It's been a while. Let's review very quickly what's been going on, or went on. The Germans moved into Belgium, and the French, and as did the Austrians, essentially they're putting the French in a sort of a nutcracker between two large armies, south and north. So what do the French do? They purchase 9 infantry and 2 artillery. And then they move and centralize their army in Burgundy. And that's essentially it. I think there was an accidental combat in Albania where nobody hurt anybody. So going forward, I'm going to turn his troops neutral at the end of my turn so he can't do that. His troops won't automatically attack unless he forces them to go back to being French on his next turn. So you'll see what I mean here in a second. But he places and he collects 32, which is, to me, is strange because when France is this far pushed back, you're usually seeing them in the 20s at this point. But this strong France strategy with +5 IPCs, they're going to be in the 30s for another couple turns at least, I think. So anyway, moving to the British, but this is what I was going to say. A strong France means a weaker Britain, and I think that is starting to tell over here on this portion of the board. He buys 7 infantry and armor and 3 artillery. So it's kind of neat. I think he's looking at, so this is one of the things that AAA does. It records all your moves, so we can see that he was contemplating attacking Constantinople and then realized that I've done my homework. Yeah, it's yeah, not good for him. So he brings in 2 more armor, 2 more artillery, another 3 infantry. And then just does this standard push over here. This is interesting though. Look at this. He moved a detachment into Kazakhstan. I'm not sure that was a great move. You need every man moving towards Constantinople, and doing this just brings my piece into play. I mean, it was a standoff. I'll put 2 pieces here now, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the best use of troops. Anyway, he moves into Picardy and holds with the British, and I think he played it right on the West Front. I think you had to move the French army into Burgundy. You leave the British here just so that the Picardy doesn't get picked up. That's all good. I don't think it's going to change the overall CP strategy at this point, but can't criticize him for the maintenance he's done. Okay, and then he puts 4 in London, and this is where I'm going to try to do a quick demonstration. So he drops everything else in India. What's he putting in India? 3 artillery, 3 infantry, and 1 armor. So this is, what is that? 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 times 5 is 15, so that's 27 IPCs of stuff in India. Constantinople makes 9 every turn, so we're producing 3 pieces there, and I'm sending up to 5 infantry a turn via Austria-Hungary. So that's pretty much how I can spar off his purchase. So he doesn't have enough stuff. He's not bringing in enough stuff. I have a robust supply line supplying Constantinople. I'd say that's probably the biggest feather in the CP's cap at this point. Argument for victory is that it does not appear Constantinople is being threatened with takeover. I think he should have attacked as the UK, or should still attack possibly, because of all these other the different colors of troops down here. It's basically impossible for me to counterattack. So he takes it on the chin as the UK, stuffs it with, oh, that's right, we already went over this. That's right, the thing that's deterring him from doing that is the fact that the Ottomans go immediately after the British. So, yeah, this strategy, never mind. That doesn't make much sense, does it? Anyway, if that didn't make sense, it doesn't matter. Okay, so then the Ottomans go. Of course, we just at this point we're committed to our strategy. We up our troop count to 30 and call it. Okay. And now the Italians go. They buy 5 infantry, 15 IPCs, all spent. Reinforce and place. Very basic turn, and I'm really happy to say that the Italians have only 10 IPC this turn. United States purchases 2 more transports, and I just shaking my head over this, but I will say, if I had to take command of the United States forces at this time, I would say that, and he just does this. Well, no, let's go through it. Sorry, let me go back a second. I'll go articulate what I was thinking, but first let's just cover the turn. So he loads up his troops, brings them over. Okay, he brings everything into Smyrna, including the assets in Tuscany. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Now, that seems pretty thin, and we do have a potential positive attack on Tuscany. But if I was to take command of the American forces right now, he's got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I would divide these into 4 transport groups of 4. 4 off the east coast, 4 off the coast of Spanish Morocco west, 4 off the coast of Spanish Morocco east, and 4 off of Smyrna. Then every 2 turns, the full weight of American production is in Smyrna. So in other words, everything produced in the United States moves to Spanish Morocco, and then on the following turn moves to Smyrna. You have a double shuck. This is a really good double shuck. You could transfer 7 infantry and an artillery every single turn to, well, wherever you wanted on the battlefield here. And there's enough transports that if you needed to put out a fire, you could put up to, 16 troops essentially at the snap of your fingers. Even more so if it was in another area. Like Tuscany. Let's just take this as an example. Let's say I consolidate all my pieces on Venice. The American player can bring in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Can bring in 22 pieces, dude. Oh, you see this? Like 5 American transports off Smyrna. 2. Oh no, well, these 2 would be essentially empty. Okay, so he could bring in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13. He's got 13 transports here. Right, but these 2 would be essentially empty, and those 2 would be as well, so it's 9. Yeah, he could bring in 18 pieces at this juncture. But anyway, I just like the. I hope he stops building transports and just uses his 16 from here on to create like a double shuck symmetry. That would make sense to me, at least in theory. I don't think in practice it's the best thing, but it could be. I've not seen anything like this, so I'm pretty excited for that. And that brings us to Ottoman turn 14, or not Ottoman, Austro-Hungarian turn 14, and we're going to commit the very boring purchase of 15 infantry. We are about to engage in combat. Infantry are going to leave the field of battle, and we need more to replace them, so we got to get in front of that. No more core units, no more artillery, none of that nonsense. Now, the options are vast, but let's just do some maintenance first. First, we're not attacking here. I like this little negotiation we have where we essentially are agreed on a ceasefire in Albania. Could we attack in Tuscany? Yes, we could. Would it be positive? Yes, it would, but I don't really want to do that because I think I can hold out for a better deal. Oh, one other thing before we continue, I just want to point out that at the end of this world turn, the economies are just about balanced here. And when we go to the TUV, we can see that the Central Powers is only 150 points or 160 points behind the Allied, behind the Entente. And when you account for naval assets, we've got something of a lead in terms of total unit value. So the Entente advantages are disappearing, or being frittered away at a fairly rapid rate at this point. But okay. Yeah, so after doing some battle calculation to verify all this, I already did it before rolling this video, but here's the move. After much thought and deliberation, we're going to stack up Venice super heavy. Yeah, let's just go really super heavy. Yeah. Yeah, let's go whole hog. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's the situation on the west front. This fighter comes to Serbia, and that will complete our air domination of Sevastopol, Constantinople, and all of that. So in the east, we have this British issue with threatening Tatarstan, and in the capital, this aggression shall not stand. So we move 2 infantry over there. What are the odds he breaks through? 3v2. That's actually pretty decent. You know, a 1 in 4 essentially. So let's put a detachment there to deal with. Let's call it 3 and 2, I guess. Yeah. And then here's the other thing I wanted to do. Let's move all 3 of these barrels here. It's going pretty thin, aren't we? And then all of this here. And then let's put in, I think I already did the calculation. When I account for 4 infantry and an armor being added on the following turn, I think 3 infantry is enough. So we'll skim from the top here a little bit, but there we go. So yeah, we have a massive amount of pressure put on Tuscany. And this is me basically declaring here and now that I'm going for Rome. It's happening. There's a couple of things that could happen to change this, but I don't think they'll happen, and namely that's that the French army steps into Piedmont or Switzerland. If that happens, I have to attack the French army. But we'll go into Germany and we'll discuss that more there. So let's do a cycle through. then I just want to do one quick check. So that's 8 infantry. They would kill 4 if they put the armor in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So call it 5. We would have 10, 11, 12, 13 plus air. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So that should have. That's a solid deterrent for him to come north. Even though we've thinned out the artillery quite a bit. Here, I think we don't have the armor anymore, but I don't think he's going to come into Albania. I suspect he'll use the Americans to reinforce Tuscany, which kind of sucks. I like them being in this prison camp in Smyrna. They'll actually be actively helping in the game if they go to Tuscany. And again, he can bring in 18 pieces, but I've accounted for that, and it's still a positive, a fairly significant positive tub swing. There's no Allied air power except the British over here in the Middle East, or in Turkey, I should say. There is a 6% chance that his 3 fighters knock out my 5 fighters. I just have to ride that. I can't. I still feel like I need to strain a little bit, so I can't make everything 100%, but that's it. So there's no fighting. Done out. Done out. Drop them in. Okay. And all infantry again, because we're going to start hemorrhaging troops. Yeah, it's just going to be an infantry push mechanic. In fact, we've already been doing this. We need bodies. We need bodies. So that's it. Good. 45 for next turn, so we can produce yet another 15. Okay, now I'm going to flip these back to Austrians and then make his French units neutral. So if he wants to attack, there's not going to be any accident. It'll be deliberate. Okay. Okay. Blast through the Russian turn. Done, 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 done. And Germany, same thing. We're going to 17 infantry. And this is a fairly simple turn. Blocker, sorry, no. Blocker from Munich goes Switzerland. And you might, might be a question of why put blockers when the French have armor. That's so they can't walk in. They have to commit an armor. They have to commit an armor to these dead zones if they want to take the territory, or take the territory without loss, or take the territory without potential loss. So yeah, it's like that. And so we're just grinding forward. Nothing much to it here. There was I deliberated on whether sending the Hanover army to Ruhr or Munich. The thing I like about Munich is if the French army moves to Switzerland, then we could put a huge hammer on him. But if the French army moves to Switzerland, the Austrians are going to attack, and then the Germans will pretty much demolish it, and the tub swing will be so brutal that would be basically game. I would expect a concession very shortly after that. If the French army moves Piedmont, the Austro-Hungarians would have to. Well, I don't know if he moves Piedmont. Actually, that wouldn't be. So the reason I don't think he will move Piedmont is because you just can't move that far away from your capital. The Germans obviously would move Picardy, and then from Piedmont, the French would have to turn around and come back, and that's already. If they move Piedmont, then I get a run at their capital, not on the German next turn, but the one following it. So it goes French army to Piedmont, French army to Burgundy. That's 2 turns. German army to Picardy, German army to Paris. That's 2 turns. So it doesn't make sense for them. They're not going to move away. They have to stay adjacent to their capital. So I don't expect the French to move out at all. Okay, let's cycle through. Oh, you know what I almost forgot was the Berlin sea lift. This little motion here. Now you all can. I don't know, I just like having somebody in Kiel, I think. Let's do that. Okay. 6. Yeah. Yeah, I had plans with this Navy, but they were suicidal plans, and now I think I like this, just keeping this transport up and running and doing what it's doing and helping speed up the infantry reinforcement of the front. So that's it. Yeah, that's it. So this is obviously a smash removal. There's not going to be any issue. And yeah, I've done the math here. It's not a huge advantage, but I do have a -3. He's got a negative. He'll lose essentially 3 more infantry pieces than I would. Let's see. Yeah, it does cut it thin in a sense. Although I could bleed out some air units. I'm not counting the armor, so it's actually +5 average defender units left over, so that'd be 41 including the armor. So yeah, we'd have all of our core units +5 infantry. And then the British would go, and then, let's see, the British could knock off, 7 more pieces, so that would dip into my core units. But, you know, then that brings up problems for them as well. We fall back into our supply train and put a pin in Lorraine, so they can't really move around and attack further. So, I'm going to be comfortable with this. Yep. We gotta stay after them. Another thing I considered was that the British can basically hurl 25 infantry into Belgium, but there's like a 2% chance they wipe out every piece. And then even if the French attacked Lorraine, we can all move into Belgium together, crush the British once and for all, for the most part. Yeah, I think this is a proper balance of risk and aggression. So let's done out. Okay, and then let's be kind to our opponent. And do these hits for him. Okay. Yeah, there's some risk in here, but you know what? That's Axis and Allies. That's what we're playing. We've mitigated it as to the best of our ability. And this is the most generous point for the Allies, but CP 105, Allied powers 109. French are up. I don't see what gains they're going to make. I guess they could relieve Piedmont. You could send in 2 infantry and try to take back the territory. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Yep. Anyway, thanks for watching this. All the best from the good captain, and bye-bye.